My name is Mr. Sato, and I am 55 years old, a lifetime spent amidst the bustling symphony of Tokyo, where every morning brings the promise of a new day, yet also the quiet hum of worries. For as long as I can remember, my life has revolved around the comforting steam and savory aroma of my small ramen shop, nestled on a quiet side street that once throbbed with the footsteps of hungry customers. Each dawn, before the first rays of sunlight truly painted the sky, I would be there, methodically preparing the rich, delicate broth, a recipe passed down through generations, a legacy from my parents and their parents before them. The clatter of bowls, the sizzle of pork belly, the gentle murmur of conversations, these were the sounds of my world, the rhythm that gave my life meaning. My hands, calloused from years of kneading noodles and lifting heavy pots, moved with a practiced grace, each motion a silent prayer for quality and tradition. I took immense pride in my work, in the simple joy of serving a perfect bowl of ramen, a comfort to body and soul, hoping that each customer left with a little warmth in their stomach and a smile on their face. My dream was never grand. It was simply to keep this small corner of tradition alive, to honor my family's name, and to continue serving the community that had been my home for so long. But lately, the footsteps outside my shop had grown fainter, the conversations within had become sparse, and the laughter was a distant memory. The vibrant energy of Tokyo seemed to flow past my street, drawn to the gleaming new restaurants with their flashy signs and digital menus, or lost in the labyrinth of food delivery applications that I barely understood. My small shop, once a bustling hub, now often sat half empty, the quiet and unwelcome guest. I worked longer hours than ever, trying to cut costs, trying to perfect my ramen even further, hoping a miraculous surge of flavor would bring the customers back. I'd stay up late, poring over ledgers, the numbers refusing to align, the dwindling profits casting a cold shadow over my once warm hearth. Rent for the shop, the ever-rising cost of fresh ingredients, the utilities that seemed to climb higher with each passing month, they all pressed down on me, heavy burdens on my aging shoulders. My internal nemesis was a constant companion, a whisper of doubt that gnawed at my spirit. "You are failing, Mr. Sato. You are letting your family down. You are becoming a relic, forgotten by the city you love." The fear of losing the shop, of seeing its doors close forever, was a deep, aching void in my chest, a fear that left me feeling utterly alone in this vast, indifferent city. I tried everything I could think of to improve things, stretching every yen every hour. I'd wake even earlier, kneading the dough by hand for even longer, convinced that an extra 5 minutes of effort would somehow translate into a newfound deliciousness that would beckon patrons back. I added a small, handwritten sign outside, offering a slight discount during the lunch rush, something I'd never done before, feeling a pang of shame for lowering the perceived value of my family's craft. I even tried to create a new, modern special, attempting to fuse flavors, but my heart wasn't in it, and the results were always just not quite right. My regulars, the few who remained, were loyal and kind, but their numbers simply weren't enough. One day, Mr. Tanaka, who had eaten my ramen twice a week for 20 years, came in to tell me he was moving to the countryside to live with his daughter, and as he walked out, a piece of my hope seemed to walk out with him. Then a crucial part of my noodle machine, a legacy itself from my father's time, sputtered and died, refusing to spin. The repairman quoted a price that felt like a king's ransom, an amount I simply did not possess. I spent days trying to fix it myself, my fingers clumsy with metal and wires, only succeeding in making it worse, the broken machine a symbol of my own failing efforts. A particularly cold and gray week in November brought an unexpected slump, a time when business should have been brisk, but the streets remained empty, and my shop felt like a silent tomb. I received another notice from my landlord, firmer this time about the overdue rent, a stark reminder of the precipice I stood upon. Exhaustion became my constant state, leading to a small but painful burn on my arm from a hot pot, making every movement a little harder, every day a little more of a struggle. I felt myself slipping, a slow descent into despair, the city lights outside my window at night seeming to mock my quiet struggle. My lowest point arrived with the news of an impending winter storm, the kind they called a once-in-a-decade event, threatening to blanket Tokyo in an unprecedented layer of snow and ice. I had been clinging to a fragile hope, a small bank loan application I had submitted, hoping it would cover the repairs for my machine and the overdue rent, give me a fresh start. But the rejection letter arrived on the same day the storm warnings escalated, a curt, formal note stating I did not meet their criteria, crushing the last ember of hope within me. It felt like the entire city, with its towering buildings and endless crowds, was conspiring against my small existence. The storm meant days of closure, no customers, no income, right when I needed it most. A final, definitive blow. I sat alone in my empty shop that evening, the rich aroma of the broth I had prepared that morning now smelling strangely of defeat. The silence pressed in on me, heavier than usual. I looked at an old, faded photograph of my parents, their faces beaming with pride beside a younger version of myself behind this very counter, and the tears I had held back for so long finally began to fall. "I am sorry," I whispered to their image. "I have failed you." The cold seeped not just from the outside, but from deep within my bones, a profound loneliness consuming me. I truly felt like giving up, letting the shop go, letting my family's legacy fade into the indifferent history of the city. What was the point of fighting when everything seemed determined to break you? As the first snowflakes began to fall, swirling like lost spirits outside my window, I prepared to lock the shop, perhaps for the last time. My heart was heavy, a stone in my chest. Then, through the thickening curtain of white, a tiny shadow moved. Under the meager shelter of a newsstand awning across the street, a small, scrawny stray cat, its fur matted and thin, shivered violently, trying to press itself smaller, seeking warmth where there was none. Its eyes, wide and luminous in the dim light, seemed to hold a raw, desperate plea. In that moment, something shifted within me. The overwhelming despair that had consumed me for so long suddenly gave way to a tiny, unexpected spark of empathy. Even if I was failing, even if my world was crumbling, this small creature, utterly defenseless against the brutal cold, needed help. It was not about my shop, not about my legacy, but about a simple, fundamental act of kindness. I couldn't save my business, but perhaps, just perhaps, I could save this one small life. A sudden, quiet determination took root. I walked to the back of my shop, where I kept a pile of salvaged wood from an old renovation project, wood I'd always thought useless. I found some old, soft blankets I used to cover the tables during off-season, and even my own heating pad meant for my aching back. With renewed purpose, I began to work, not on ramen, not on ledgers, but on building a small, makeshift shelter. My hands, once clumsy with the broken machine, now moved with a focused energy. I hammered, I measured, I lined the inside with the softest fabrics I could find, arranging the heating pad to provide a gentle warmth. The biting wind whipped around me, the snow accumulating on my hair and shoulders, but I barely noticed. Each nail I drove, each piece of wood I fit together, felt like a small act of defiance against the harshness of the world. A silent declaration that even in my own darkest hour, hope could still be found in the simplest acts of caring. I carefully placed the finished cat house just outside my shop door, a beacon of warmth in the deepening night. I gently coaxed the shivering cat towards it, and after a moment of hesitation, it cautiously ventured inside, its wide eyes blinking at the sudden warmth. A profound sense of peace, something I hadn't felt in months, settled over me. The next morning, the city was transformed into a silent, pristine wonderland, blanketed in snow. When I went to check on the cat house, I saw not one but 3 cats nestled inside, and beside them a small group of people, huddling against the cold, looking at my shop. One young woman held up her phone, pointing at the cat house. It turned out someone had walked by late last night, seen me building the shelter in the storm, and had taken a photo, posting it online with a simple message. "Even in the coldest storm, Mr. Sato, the ramen master, builds a home for strays." The story had spread. People touched by the act of a man struggling himself, extending kindness to the most vulnerable, began to seek out my shop. They came not just for the ramen, but for the story, for the man behind the warm gesture. Soon, my shop, once quiet and desolate, was bustling again, filled with the very sounds and warmth I thought I had lost forever. New customers, old neighbors, even a few tourists who had heard the story online, all wanted to taste the ramen and offer their support. They called me the ramen master with a gentle heart, a title I never sought but cherished deeply. My business revitalized, allowing me to pay my overdue bills, repair my noodle machine, and even hire a young assistant, a bright, eager student who helped me manage the growing demand. I continued to care for the stray cats, ensuring their little home was always warm and stocked with food. And with a portion of my renewed income, I started making small donations to a local animal shelter. My life now has a new rhythm, one infused with connection and gratitude. The fear of failure has been replaced by a quiet confidence, and the crushing loneliness has dissipated, replaced by a profound sense of belonging. The small cat house outside my shop is a daily reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can create the most beautiful ripples. One crisp autumn morning, as I opened my shop, I found a small, handwritten card tucked carefully inside the cat house. It was from the young woman who had taken the photo that night, thanking me, telling me that my act had reminded her, and so many others, of the enduring power of compassion. Just as I finished reading it, a particularly shy tabby cat, one of the original 3 I had sheltered, padded softly into the shop, rubbing against my leg before settling into a warm patch of sunlight near the counter. It was a small gesture, but to me it was everything. It proved that by giving when I had nothing, I had, in fact, received everything. My ramen shop is no longer just a place to eat. It has become a beacon of hope, a testament to the truth that even when the world feels coldest, the warmth of a kind heart can melt any storm, proving that things truly do get better, often in ways we could never have imagined.